friends, how are you? Long time no see. I think I'm gonna just stop trying to make excuses of why I can't upload that often and just gonna enjoy the time we have together. Hi, I hope you're well. And I hope you find the audio a little bit better. I just bought a cheap microphone, so I'm not sure if it's gonna make a huge difference. But yeah, I'm aware that my audio on my previous videos is really shitty, so I'm trying. I just don't know enough about microphones to know if this is a decent one, but I really hope so. Okay, so let's talk about piercings today. This video is going to be dedicated to my double Medusa or double philtrum, but I also have a new piercing, a newer piercing I'd say, because this is pretty recent, but I just pierced my nostril yesterday. This one. I already had it pierced, but I had to remove it, and so I pierced it again, and I'm really happy because the Medusa is such a symmetric piercing that I really needed to have both nostrils. Just one was kind of bothering me, but now I'm pretty happy with what I have here. So I asked you on Instagram if you had any questions about my Medusa piercing, and I'm gonna cover all that on this video, from pain to healing process. The double Medusa was something that I wanted to do for such a long time, but at the same time I also had my septum piercing before, which I had to remove because it was also crooked. It took me a while to understand you should really research your piercer before doing a piercing with them. I have had some really bad piercing experiences, but that's a topic for another video for sure. Anyway, I've had my septum pierced, and that's also a piercing that I enjoyed a lot, and I was kind of afraid that if I did a Medusa I couldn't have the septum because they would be like on top of each other. But I still think I have plenty of space if I still want to do the septum. But even if I don't, I love my Medusa so much that it doesn't bother me if I never end up doing the septum piercing again. So the actual piercing process, I did pierce them at the same time. Well, not exactly the same time. She did pierce the top one first and then the bottom one, but you know, same day, exactly one next to the other. So it was painful. It was probably the most painful piercing I've ever did, but at the same time I do think I have an okay tolerance for pain, and I don't have that many piercings to compare to. But I will leave like a list of my piercings, from number one being the most painful to the others less painful piercings. And if you have any piercing on this list, maybe it will help you see if how painful this is gonna be for you. But of course, please bear in mind that pain is so subjective, that, you know, even if it's something that is painful for me, doesn't mean it's gonna be exactly the same experience for you. One thing that you also need to consider is how big your lip is. If you have like a very big fat lip, then it's gonna probably be more painful for you. But if you have a very thin lip, then probably it's not gonna be as bad as it was for me or other people. Still, even being the most painful piercing that I've had, it still wasn't that bad, to be honest. I would do it again, like I wouldn't even think about it. If you want to do them separately, probably it's not going to be as bad, because if you do two piercings in a row in the same area, it's always going to be more painful, even if we're talking about an ear piercing, just because, you know, the area is going to be sensitive and tender because you just pierced it 2 seconds ago. But I really wanted to have them in one go and get this done with, and I really don't regret it. Even if the second one was obviously more painful, it's just a 2-second pain. I think that's the thing that you really need to remember when you're going for a piercing. Even if it's horrible, the worst pain you'll ever experience in your life, it's gonna be a 2-second pain. So, you know, it's gonna be horrible and then you won't feel anything later.
Well, you might, depending how the healing process goes, but
if everything goes well, you should only experience that pain for like a second and it's done. So, you know, it's worth it. You're gonna have that piercing forever. So this was my first lip or mouth piercing. So they're pretty different from anything that I've had before in terms of aftercare. Anything on your mouth will swallow up a lot, and that's why piercers need to insert a labret that is a lot longer than the one you're supposed to wear once it's healed. So I have a very big labret that I still need to change. This is still the first one I got when I was pierced, and I pierced this about a month ago. So I have a huge labret or labret. I never know how to pronounce it. Is it labret, labret? And it's right on time to change the piercing and the jewelry if I want to. I had a lot more stuff to do than with any other piercing. With any other piercing, I pretty much just cleaned it with salt water and warm water, and that's pretty much done. But with this one, there's a few extra steps that I needed to do. I had to put ice on it every morning for the first week because it was so swollen. I needed a bit help just to help that go down a little bit. You can't really eat all the foods on the first couple of days, but it's not very restrictive. You just can't really eat foods that you really need to bite into them, like apples or, you know, a big sandwich, for example. I'll put a photo here of how my lip looked on the first day. One thing that was also new to me, my piercer gave me a mouthwash so I can clean the piercing from the inside as well, especially because your mouth is a place that is full of bacteria. You eat, food gets stuck on your piercing, which is not cool, especially when it's healing. My piercer told me to use it every time that I ate or drank anything that wasn't water, and I did that for the first couple of days, but then I think it was a little bit too much because I used that mouthwash so much that my tongue and mouth were numb all the time because I used it every time I drank coffee or tea, and I guess I just realized I drink a bunch of coffee and tea. So instead of using it every single time, I just started using it every time I brushed my teeth, and I think that's enough. One concern that a lot of people questioned me about is the teeth damage, gum recession, and all of that not so good stuff. Because you're having something always hitting your gum, it might damage the gum and your teeth. So this is a reality that you need to understand when doing any piercing on your lips or tongue. What I recommend is for you to search alternatives from the labrets that I have right now. Again, this is the original labret that I was pierced with, and I will change it. This has like the flat bottom and it does bump on my teeth and gum, but again, because this is like the very big one, but still, even if you have the short one, you do take the risk of it bumping on your teeth and your gums. Some people are lucky enough that they say they have no contact between the piercing and the gums, so that's awesome, and I envy them, and I hope I am one of those people when I change the labret. The best thing to do is to change the type of labret. You can have one that instead of flat is more of a curve, or you can choose to have a silicone labret. If you want to do it. Have these concerns in mind, and if you see any changes on your gums or teeth, just remove them. I really wanted the Medusa, so I'm not gonna suffer in anticipation that something wrong will happen in the future. That is a possibility, but basically if I see any signs of damage on my teeth or gum, I just take them off. In terms of healing, it was pretty smooth. It stopped hurting in like 2 days. After the first week and a half, I got a little bit concerned because there was a lot of pus and gunk coming out of the piercing, which is not something that I usually experience. It wasn't painful, there was just a lot of pus, and I thought it was maybe getting infected, or maybe I wasn't cleaning it properly. There was one morning that I kind of saw this bubble, and I got really kind of scared because I thought it was just healing wrong, and maybe it was creating this scar tissue, maybe a keloid or something like that. And I just texted my piercer, and she was super nice. She just told me to clean it with warm salt water and just follow a few steps every night before I go to bed, and it went away in like 2 or 3 days. That was the only thing that was more unusual in the healing process. Anything else was pretty smooth. Just don't touch it, and don't put makeup on it or any skincare or anything like that. When I do my makeup, I just blend it like around it, and I think that's it. I think it's such a cool piercing. Even though I've seen it online a couple of times, I never actually saw another person in real life with one of these. I've had nothing but compliments actually. So yeah, maybe they were faking it, but doesn't matter. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos about piercings. I have a couple of piercing stories that I think it might be interesting to tell, or maybe they would be boring. I don't know. Let me know if you have any questions about this. I'll be happy to answer on the comment section. I will also leave the link for my piercer on the description down below. I'll see you next time. Bye!